Hi students, welcome to EPG Pachala. I am Dr. A. Sangamitra, Assistant Professor, Food Technology Department from Kongu Engineering College. Okay, let me move on to our today's topic on infrared heating and radio frequency heating. Consumers' expectations towards convenient foods with wide variety and adequate shelf life at reasonable cost have increased the demand for the modification and improvement in the conventional or existing food processing methods. This can be coped with the adoption of novel food processing technologies. At the same time, food safety is one of the most challenging concerns in producing highly safe food products without compromising the food quality. Though various novel thermal and non-thermal methodologies are used, infrared heating and radio frequency heating are the other methods that can also be used in decontamination of food products and other food applications without affecting the quality of food products. On completion of this module, you will be able to understand the basic principles and applications of infrared heating of foods and also understand the basic principles and applications of radio frequency heating of foods. First, we will see about infrared heating. Infrared rays were discovered by William Herschel. Infra means below and red is the color of the longest wavelength of visible light. Wavelength longer than visible light but shorter than those of radio waves or infrared waves. The wavelength range for thermal radiation ranges from 0.4 to 1000 micrometer, which includes visible light and IR radiations. Infrared radiation is an electromagnetic radiation which falls between the region of visible light and microwaves. It is transmitted as a wave and gets converted into heat when it impinges on the food surface. Infrared is classified into three categories based on the spectral ranges. They are near infrared, mid infrared and far infrared. In general, far infrared radiation is advantageous for food processing operations because most food components absorb radioactive energy in this spectral region. Generally, heat transfer occurs through one of the three modes such as conduction, convection and radiation. Food materials are heated mainly to extend their shelf life or to disrupt the microbial growth or to enhance the taste. In conventional methods, heating of product occurs from outside and slowly transferred to the inner side of the material by convection or conduction. Whereas, when food product is exposed to infrared radiation, the heat energy generated can be absorbed by the food materials and they transform the thermal energy in the form of electromagnetic radiations. Next, we will move on to the principles of infrared heating. The amount of infrared radiations that is falls on any surface depends on its spectral range. The energy coming out of an emitter is composed of different wavelengths and the fraction of the radiation in each band is dependent upon the temperature and emissivity of the emitter. The wavelength at which maximum radiation occurs is determined by the temperature of the infrared heating source. This relationship is described by the basic laws of blackbody radiation such as Planck's law, Wien's displacement law and Stefan Boltzmann's law. The infrared energy is the electromagnetic radiation which is emitted from hot objects such as infrared bulbs. When the radiations are absorbed, the radiation gives up its energy to heat the products. Infrared light penetrates food and causes changes in the vibration and rotation of molecules. When the molecule returns into the normal state, the absorbed energy is transferred into heat. The rate of heat transfer during infrared heating depends on the surface temperatures of heating source and receiving materials, surface properties of the two materials and shape of the emitting and receiving bodies. In food products, Water is the molecule which is highly affected by infrared radiations. Other molecules affected by infrared are proteins, lipids, and carbohydrates containing polar groups. Now, we will see about the conventional heating versus infrared heating. Infrared heating methods have advantages over conventional heating methods. The heating process is fast and direct. High heat transfer coefficients, low cost of energy, and short process time in infrared heating. Since air is transparent to infrared radiation, the process can be done at ambient air temperature and also leads to no heating of the surrounding air in case of infrared heating compared to conventional heating. Also, the power level and penetration depth can be easily adjusted. Let us now see the applications of infrared heating in food processing. Infrared heating has been applied in many food processing operations. The effectiveness of heating can be achieved by combining infrared heating with microwave or other common conductive or convective modes of heating. Various applications of infrared in food processing includes food process which involves heating. For example, drying, baking, roasting, blanching, pasteurization and sterilization. Microbial and enzyme inactivation. Infrared thawing and peeling. Spectroscopic measurements of chemical composition of foods. Non-contact temperature measurement of foods. First, we will see about infrared drying. Drying uses infrared energy has been applied in food products such as fruits, vegetables, spices, grains and juices. Infrared dryers contain infrared generators such as special lamps and ceramic or metallic panels heated by electricity. The notable feature of infrared drying is that it does not require medium for transfer of energy from source to product. The food products are considered as the absorbers of infrared radiations. Products with high moisture content and less thickness can be rapidly dried using infrared dryers. Hence, for effective drying, high absorption of incident infrared radiation and coupling of absorbed energy with water are the important parameters. The performance of drying is based on the energy absorption by different compounds present in food such as carbohydrates, proteins, fats and water. It has been observed that drying time reduced with an increase in infrared power and the drying happens in the falling rate period. Drying of food and agricultural product using infrared drying is considered as a new process which yields high quality dried product at low cost. It is also noted that onion slices dried under infrared convective conditions showed a good rehydration ratio as compared to the conventionally dried product. The advantages of infrared drying includes reduced drying time, alternative source of energy, increased energy efficiency, uniform product temperature, good quality dried products, reduced airflow rate across the product, high degree of process control and pollution-free environment. The next application is in peeling. Peeling of fruits, vegetables, tubers has been performed using different methods such as hot water peeling, live peeling, knife peeling. But the conventional peeling method has its own limitations. Used water disposal, chemical usage, manual labor are few of the constraints in the above said methods. Infrared radiations can be used for peeling of fruits and vegetables without using water and chemicals. infrared dry peeling prototype has been developed for peeling of tomato. The infrared dry peeling system loosens the peel from flesh. The vacuum section present in the prototype is used to generate cracks on the surface of tomato peel. Then compressed air is blown over the skin, which peels off the skin. It was observed that infrared peeling produced firmer texture of the peeled product, thinner peel and reduced peeling losses. Let us now see how infrared inactivates enzymes. Infrared heating can be effectively used for enzyme inactivation. Various enzymes in food products are responsible for quality degradation. For example, lipase lipoxygenase in food products leads to rancidity at undesirable conditions. Infrared heating is one of the most promising alternative techniques to inactivate enzymes. It was studied that lipoxygenase was inactivated to around 95.5% within 60 seconds in infrared treated soybean. Far infrared has been used to off flavor producing enzymes in peas. A comparative study on far infrared and thermal conduction heating was carried out to investigate the lipase and alpha amylase inactivation in the model enzyme solution. It was reported that FIR heating is expected to be highly effective in food processing. Also, inactivation of peroxidase in oat groats and inactivation of lipase in rough and brown rice were reported. Due to this reason, brown rice can be stored for extended period and at reduced cost compared to rough rice. Infrared heating also stabilizes the bran by inactivating lipase and preserves the quality of bran before oil extraction. Let us now move on to how infrared inactivates the microbes. Infrared heating can also be utilized to inactivate microbial growth by thermal means. The inactivation happens due to the thermal effect on the internal contents of microorganisms, that is denaturation of protein, and also damages to the DNA. During infrared heating of milk, the effect of infrared radiations on Staphylococcus aureus has been studied. It was evident that the treatment resulted in cell damages like cell wall destruction, shrinkage of cytoplasmic membrane, disintegration of mesosomes, and leakage of internal cellular contents. Infrared treatment can be used to inactivate bacteria, spores, yeast, and mold in both liquid and solid foods. The effectiveness of inactivation depends on infrared power level, product temperature, peak wavelength, and bandwidth of infrared heating source, sample depth, types of microorganisms, moisture content, physiological phase of microbes, and types of food materials. Far infrared radiation was found to be more effective in pasteurizing vegetative yeast and fungi cells compared to the thermal processing. Infrared is also used in grain disinfestation. Chemical methods, that is, use of methyl bromide, is generally used in grain industry for disinfestation purpose. A complete elimination of adult insects, larvae, and eggs in IR-treated rice was investigated. The major factors influencing the effectiveness of disinfestation includes the age of insects, distance of the grain and insect sample from the heaters, duration of exposure to infrared radiation, heat intensity, and grain moisture content were all cited as factors that will affect their disinfestation. Next, we will see about radio frequency heating. Radio frequency is also a form of electromagnetic radiation between 30 kHz to 300 MHz delivered between two electrodes. The heat generation is due to the interaction between electromagnetic radiation and the product to be processed. Electroheating may be classified into two types. One is direct electroheating and indirect electroheating. In direct electroheating, as in case of ohmic heating, where electric current is applied directly to the food. The another method is indirect electroheating, as in case of microwave and radio frequency heating, where electrical energy is converted into electromagnetic radiation which generates the heat within the product. Recently, radio frequency heating extends its applications in food processing operations such as baking, drying, pasteurization, and cooking. The two major principles are dipole rotation and ionic polarization. The primary mechanism of heating is due to the dipolar nature of water molecules, which try to follow the electric field associated with electromagnetic radiation as it collides with very high frequencies, thus producing heat. The secondary mechanism of heating is through the oscillatory migration of ions in the food that generates heat. Radio frequency heating equipment. Radio frequency heating setup consists of a generator and applicator or electrodes. The generator converts electricity into radio frequency energy. The generator is suitably designed with a combination of capacitors and inductance connected to a vacuum valve, complete with a high voltage DC supply unit. In simpler terms, the generator creates alternating electric field between two electrodes. The alternating energy causes polarization of the molecules of product placed between the electrode. During polarization, the molecules continuously reorient themselves to face opposite poles. The applicator, through simple conductive metal connectors, receives the radio frequency energy and applies it to the product in the chamber. Three basic configurations are used depending on the electric field direction. They are vertical, horizontal, and inclined type. Next, we will see about the conventional heating versus radio frequency heating. As discussed in the infrared heating, the conventional heating method has a heat source on the outside. Heat is transferred to the surface of the product and then to the inner core of the product. Radio frequency heats the product at the molecular level. It heats the product within and heats the inner core as well as the surface. Next is the application of RF heating. Radio frequency heating is used to control fruit fly larvae in fruits. No significant effect on fruit firmness, soluble solid content, titratable acidity, weight loss was observed when treated at 48 to 52 degrees Celsius for a holding time of 0.5 to 18 minutes. But radio frequency treated products had a deeper peel color than control fruits. RF heating was effectively used for drying of nuts and also as disinfection methods to the perishable commodities. It is also used as a drying treatment after baking of cookies, crackers, and pasta products. Cookies and crackers, when coming out of the oven, have uneven moisture distribution which may lead to cracking of product during handling. RF heating, due to its rapid heating and high penetration of RF energy, it is effective in killing microorganisms. Research on RF heating of apple and orange juices have been carried out. It was observed that radio frequency energy has a greater impact on microbial inactivation in juices without affecting the sensorial and nutritional characteristics. Radio frequency heating has been used to control brown rods on peaches, nectarines. Study shows that radio frequency heating inactivates Salmonella and E. coli on black and red pepper spices. RF heating has the potential to control foodborne pathogens in spices. RF heating is also used for the treatment of feed ingredients such as meat and fish products like fish meals. RF heating process works with high efficiency of 50%, whereas conventional heating method reaches about 10 to 15% efficiency only. It has been observed that RF waves resulted in rapid and homogeneous heating provide greater than 99.9% reduction in infection levels for Salmonella and for E. coli when compared to control samples. Simultaneously, the natural flora was reduced by greater than 99.9%, adding quality attribute to the treated product. We will next move on to the advantages and limitations of radiofrequency heating. The advantages of RF heating include selective heating, energy efficient, contactless heating, uniform and rapid heating at less time. And the limitations are high cost equipment and operating cost of radiofrequency heating system. The RF system is more expensive than the ohmic heating system. Let me summarize the points now. Wavelength longer than visible light but shorter than those of radio waves or the infrared waves. Infrared is classified into near infrared, mid infrared and far infrared. When the radiations are absorbed, the radiation gives up its energy to heat the products. Radio frequency is also a form of electromagnetic radiations between 30 kHz and 300 MHz. Dipole rotation and polarization are the mechanism behind heat generation during radio frequency heating. Radio frequency heats the products at the molecular level. Both heating methods are applied in food, drying, baking, roasting, microbial and enzyme inactivation. Both heating methods do not affect the nutritional and sensorial characteristics of the food product. Hope you have got an understanding about what IR heating and RF heating is about. Thank you for your patient hearing. Happy learning. Thank you.